Good morning, dear auditors, and welcome in our show Let's Decrypt History. Today we will talk about the Industrial Revolution. Charlotte and Romane, our two special guests, are both experts about it, so they will intervene during the show. But first, let me introduce you what was the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution was a period of technical and social novelties and progress which began during the 18th century in England. There was a lot of change in society, industry, and agriculture, and the way of life have changed a lot. Thanks to many discoveries, scientists and engineers could create machines which revolutionized the life of people at this time. You probably wonder why the Industrial Revolution happened, so Charlotte, a brilliant historian specialized in this period, will explain us what were the causes of it.
The causes of the Industrial Revolution have been studied by several people. The various theories prove that this revolution was due to many different things. The first historian of the Industrial Revolution thought that the industrial growth had been stimulated by Britain's trade. There was a need to produce more manufactured goods and ready-made markets around the world through the British Empire. Others thought that growth had been stimulated by the Agricultural Revolution. This had increased the population and therefore domestic demand. Another historian believed that it's the increase in capital investment for Britain that has allowed expansion and innovation. Another school of thought credited science and technology. It claimed that technological advancement made improvement in industry inevitable. More recently, the African historian Josephine Corey has focused on the profits made by the slave traders, which provided money for investment in British industry. To finish, it's obvious that British Empire history gradually allowed the emergence of this important revolution.
Oh, and what can you say about the consequences of such change?
There are numerous consequences of the Industrial Revolution. First, in economy. By 1914, England had become a great trading nation with a worldwide empire which covered a fifth of the globe. Following and during the revolution, some sectors of the economy grew a lot, like textile, iron, steel, and coal. All the new inventions needed materials to be built, so it led to a high production of goods. Finally, the growth of the shipping industry allowed a huge growth in worldwide trade. Revolution led to a move from domestic industry to factory work and a move from water and wind power to steam engines. Important scientific and technological developments changed the way people lived. There were great and revolutionary inventions like the battery, the bicycle, the atom, the photography, the sewing machine, the dynamite. Factories were built everywhere, which significantly transformed Britain's landscape. Furthermore, by 1902, the whole British Empire was linked together by a network of telegraph cables. Population grew by 260%. People lived much more in town than before. Indeed, increased use of machinery meant that fewer farm workers were needed. They left the land and went to the industrial towns of the north of England. In 1760, only about 15% of the population lived in towns. By 1900, it was 85%. This meant that there were far more people around to work in new industries, but also caused problems because many more people needed food and homes. Poverty was increasing. Following the revolution, agriculture had evolved a lot. Agricultural crops were much larger and allowed better production since they were no longer cultivated by hand, but by machines. The Industrial Revolution led to a revolution in transport and communication, creating canals, roads, and railways, so transport has become much faster. Transport also became accessible to more people than ever before. In the 19th century, formal education became available even to the poorest people. The government made 2 hours of education a day compulsory for children working in factories. A new kind of universities was founded in Britain in the early 20th century. These red brick universities taught science or engineering, whereas the previous ones were used to teach traditional subjects as history and the classics. The revolution induced the appearance of cultural facilities. Mechanics institutes were set up in many towns to provide night school education to working men, and public libraries were built in many cities so that more people could cultivate themselves. Moreover, a law of 1845 allowed towns to set up museums for the public. Hence, we can see that the Industrial Revolution has transformed British society in all aspects.
Thank you, Charlotte. Now welcome to Romane, a smart historian too, who studied the evolution of inventions over time, and who will present you an invention created during the Industrial Revolution.
Hi everyone! Today I'm going to present you the beginning of the light bulb. This little object is now necessary for everyone. Everywhere you go, you will find some because it's the principal source of lighting. If I ask you the inventor of the light bulb, you answer Thomas Edison, right? I'm sorry to tell you I'm wrong. In 1802, Humphrey Davy invented the first electric lights. He experimented with electricity and invented an electric battery. When he connected wires to his battery and a piece of carbon, the carbon glowed, producing light. His invention was known as the electric arc lamp. And when it produced light, it didn't produce it for long and was much too bright for practical use. More than 40 years later, the English physician and chemist Joseph Swan invented a more accurate prototype of the light bulb. Born on October 31, 1828 in Sunderland, he started as an apprentice in a pharmacy before co-head a factory of chemist products. From 1850, he worked on the realization of a light bulb with filaments of carbon paper. In 1860, he developed his invention, but the low quality of the emptiness reduced the duration of his products. 15 years later, Thomas Edison considerably improved this invention by eliminating totally the oxygen inside of the bulb. The British patent pending in 1878 got in ahead of 1 year of the American one. In 1880, Joseph Swan suggested to work with Edison for a better and a faster evolution of their work. We didn't forget to say that he was better than the American. Then Thomas Edison sued Joseph Swan for counterfeiting before bringing himself with the English in the Edison Company in 1883. Based close to London, the factory produced cellulose filament bulb and after forward the electronic. Joseph Swan died on May 27, 1914 in Wallingham at the age of 86 years old.
Thank you so much, ladies, for those informations, which will allow our dear auditors to better understand what was the Industrial Revolution. We hope you enjoyed it, have a good day, and see you soon for a new program of Let's Decrypt History.